we're watching one side of the nation grieve and the other half laugh it off. That's what it is, man. Texas is drowning, unfortunately. Children are still missing. Families are watching bodies float past their homes. And while MAGA supporters are rushing to help, Democrats on X are mocking the empathy, calling it fake, calling us clowns, smirking at people praying for children to be found. You want to see who they really are? Watch this.
And we'll continue to bless our great state. We'll take a few questions.
Have the numbers changed? 27 dead and 27 missing from Camp Mystic.
Sure.
What I can tell you is there's still 27 missing. We have recovered some additional bodies at this time. We're trying to identify at this time. What I can tell you, an update, there's 32 deceased. 18 of those are adults and 14 are children. 5 of the adults remain unidentified and 3 children remain unidentified. We are still working on that this time. As I said earlier this morning, the numbers are going to continue to change. They're going to continue to change till we're done. It's been a very good day as far as being out there and being able to do some things, and we've got a lot done.
But you can, early on there was a lot of conflicting information about the search, about the number of fatalities, the missing.
And we'll continue.
See, when the death toll hits 27 and kids are still missing, this is not a moment for a debate of any kind. This is a moment for decency. But the people who scream empathy every election year, why are they when it's Christian families suffering? Why are they when it's Texas that's bleeding? You won't like the answer to that. Now, let me show you the moment that should have stopped the whole internet cold.
We had gone away from the house for a little while because we were afraid the water was coming in our house. And I waited till it was stabilized, and I knew, so I waded back over. I came up on the deck, and she saw me, so she started to scream out loud. And I thought she was in the water going down the river, and I finally looked and was able to spot her in the tree. And so, I began to holler back to her, hey, I see you. We'll get you help. And I called 911, waited about 20 minutes, nobody showed up, and I got in my vehicle, drove down the road to where I knew there were going to be authorities, and I found a DPS agent, and he then videoed or called in and sent some folks over here, but it still took a while. So
they brought a boat.
They did. We had a little bullhorn. We were hollering back and forth at her to let her know, hey, hang on, because she was desperate. I mean, desperate.
A 22-year-old girl swept nearly 12 miles downstream, clinging to a tree for dear life. You know how strong your will to live has to be to hold on for hours like that? And what was trending the other day? I don't think it was prayer. I don't think it was unity. But I did see a lot of leftists mocking MAGA for caring. I promise y'all I'm not just saying this. I'll prove it. Now, if that don't move you, listen to what the children who had to swim for their lives had to say.
I'm one of the campers from Camp Lahana, one of the camps that flooded. And I had a firsthand view of the flood, and so the cabins were flooding, and the walls were they broke down, and all of the campers in those cabins had to go up on the rafters, and they had to wait there until they could swim out. And my brother here, he had to swim out of his cabin.
The flood started getting bigger, and it was going up to, we had bunk beds in our cabins, and it was going up to the top bunk, and we had one choice, and we had to swim out of our cabins.
What time was it?
It was like, we woke up at
we had to wake up at 4 a.m. But on the way here, we saw all of the other camps destroyed, obliterated.
And can you tell me, how'd you guys get out of there? Did they put you guys on buses, or did you have
Yes.
to wait?
Yeah, we had to get on a bus.
Yes, we had to get on a bus. We were in other cabins for cabins on hills for about 17 hours.
We hosted a cabin.
The buses get here, and it was not fun.
Let that sink in, man. Kids woke up at 4 a.m. to rising water with bunk beds underwater. Some made it out, and unfortunately, some didn't. And it's just sad because while all this is happening, a viral montage is going around clowning us for showing too much emotion. Y'all, I'm serious. As if compassion makes you weak. These people. So what did the cruel, heartless MAGA crowd do next? This.
And I'll be here. I'm going to go up to the camp, Mystic, and I'm going to go around town and spend some time here today and make sure that when I am calling and talking to the president throughout the day that he has timely information and that the requests that are coming here from the leadership on the ground are met immediately and that we can take care of these families and take care of these folks right away. We do know the number one priority now is people, is making sure we're finding people as fast as possible and we're returning them to their families. And then also, throughout the process, we'll get into what damage was done to public infrastructure, what may have been done to, I know we have 1,800 people that are still without power. What I understand is people still have water, but we do have damage to bridges and to roads, thankfully dams held. But all of that is an assessment that we'll continue to work with you on to make sure that you recover as quickly as possible. So, and I'll be here.
Yeah. MAGA moved fast. Trump didn't wait for focus groups. He didn't check political optics. He got boots to the ground, called the Coast Guard, got into action. This is what leadership looks like. Meanwhile, let's show you how he's moving behind the scenes.
Oh, that's terrible. The floods. It's shocking. They don't know the answer yet as to how many people, but it looks like some young people have died. Federal aid for the... Oh yeah, sure. We'll take care of it. We're working with the governor. It's a terrible thing.
No performance hashtags, no stage tears, just action. But don't expect CNN to thank him. They've already moved on by now to the Trump's threat to democracy talking points. After I show you the video, then I'm going to show you them in a second. While Democrats voted to cut, I believe, what is NOAA, NOAA, as I was reading, funding that could have warned their families earlier. You hearing me? And unfortunately, we got another gut punch.
To follow breaking news out of central Texas, where at least 27 people are dead from severe flash flooding. And officials say 27 girls from a summer camp in Kerr County are still missing. Joining me right now is Nick Sorter, who is with the United Cajun Navy, a volunteer group primarily from the Louisiana region, assisting in recoveries and rescues in a variety of natural disasters. Nick is joining us now live from Kerrville, Texas. So, Nick, what have been your observations? How have you all been able to help?
You know, it's devastating out here. I mean, the videos, as always, they don't do it justice. The people have lost everything. You know, if your house was even close to the riverbank, it's gone, swept off the foundation. At this point, we don't know how many people were even home when this happened. If you were home and that happened, you probably got swept down the river. You know, driving up and down the riverbank, Camp Mystic, several miles down the road here. Obviously, that's what we've been talking about a lot, and that's what we've been focusing a lot of resources on, is finding those missing children. I just got back from Camp Mystic, and I'm telling you, how close that was to the riverbank. There's a cliff on one side, so the camp is trapped in between the cliff and the river. There was nowhere for these kids to go. The buildings were washed out, just carved out from the inside. If you were inside one of those buildings, if you were a thing or a person inside those buildings, you got washed down the river. And the rescue operations with river boats, you can see all the debris everywhere in the water route here. Those trees that are in the way, you're constantly chainsaw to try to get down the river. That is hampering relief efforts out here. You can see the clouds, very low clouds, making helicopter rescues difficult as well. I mean, the weather is not cooperating today. And these guys are working hard out here, but it's sad to see. It's really tough.
So, Nick, it sounds like for you and your group, you're spending most of your time just trying to traverse, trying to get from one point to the next. Have you actually been able to, assist in, rescues or recovery, or, has your focus been primarily trying to create paths, for other rescue and recovery workers?
Yeah, so there's several aspects to this, right? So we have the special operations volunteers that are on the ground now. We had a second wave. The Cajun Navy did come in today with multiple airboats, which are almost you're really not going to get around with anything but an airboat in this water out here. It's too shallow, too much stuff in the way, and then connectivity has been one of the biggest problems out here. Last night, we've been out here nonstop. Since this started, and overnight, police weren't able to use their radios. They'd hit the button, it would just beep and not do anything. They couldn't communicate with each other. It was, pitch black. Cell phones didn't work, and so we were able to reconnect a lot of them using Starlink systems. Starlink contacted me today, and they said that they're going to be every law enforcement first responder vehicle in Kerr County out here is going to be equipped with a Starlink receiver by today. So a lot of those communication issues are been working out, and the operation is being streamlined in that manner. But that was a huge hang-up overnight.
Wow, so you've been an incredible conduit, to help with the communications, just as one aspect of what you're doing. And then, just looking at some of the videotape that we've been running, I mean, the water is treacherous along many portions of the river. You talk about your airboats. What are you all experiencing with your airboats and what you're able to traverse, and what are the currents like? Talk to me about just kind of the conditions that you've encountered.
Yeah, so the water is receding a little bit, and it's moving slower now than it was this morning, especially. And so there's a lot of first responder activity around here, obviously. As the water goes down, though, it creates more and more obstacles, which, means you're spending tons of time moving those obstacles out of the way. Just to be able to move 100 feet down the river. And luckily, the state of Texas has mobilized dozens of additional airboats that have just gotten here recently from all across the state. Border Patrol is bringing up airboats as well. You have Coast Guard here that's just shown up recently. And so there are a lot of airboats that are being put in, in various portions of the water. But also another issue that's being run into is a lot of the boat ramps have been washed away. This current was so strong, it picked up concrete and just ripped it and shoved it down the river. So obviously launching boats at some of these areas is almost impossible. I could sit here all day and name the conditions that are making this more and more difficult for rescuers. And time is precious right now, especially when we're talking about the amount of missing children, these young girls. You see these pictures, and it's horrifying to even think about.
And all of us want to remain optimistic, but based on what you have been seeing, where is your level of optimism?
Look, every minute that goes by, it looks more and more bleak. The number of missing children has not gone down significantly, unfortunately. I believe we're at nine dead, still over 20 missing children. And haven't seen much movement on those numbers today. I know there was, luckily, thank God, there was a rescue from a tree earlier this morning. I don't know if you guys have covered that or not, but 12 miles this girl went downstream and was able to be rescued after grabbing onto a tree. That is nothing short of a miracle. That is a long way in these treacherous waters. You can see how strong these currents were, looking at all the damage all over the place. It's remarkable that she was able to survive that. She beat the odds for sure.
Well, Nick Sorter, you're doing an amazing work. I know so many are so grateful that you are being the conduit in so many different facets of the rescue and recovery that continue. Thanks so much for what you and the Cajun Navy are doing.
Thank you guys for having us.
We'll have much more on the dangerous weather that is also brewing now.
So back to the girl that was in the tree. She survived. But what about the 27 girls still missing from that Christian camp? You know how long 12 miles is? And I seen stuff like trending, the stuff that was trending today, Trump supporters faking the emotion and all that. You're not real Christian. I'm telling y'all, it's just vicious out here. They really said that. And right now, you got parents identifying bodies. But again, if you think I'm exaggerating, let me show you what they're doing while families are begging for updates. You can say it's a bot account. Sure. But this is some responding to, I believe, somebody else reposted it. And he reposted it confirming this. I don't even want to read this. I don't even want to read none of them, but there they go for you. Mocked. I mean, I'll read the caption. Holy guys, I finally made it. The MAGAs I triggered that I have montage our lack of empathy. While children's bodies are pulled from flood water, they're laughing at MAGA supporters who care too much. These people claim to fight for the oppressed until the oppressed are wearing red hats. They're not even saying these people in Texas are Trump supporters. I'm talking about in relation to our support. And you know what this proves? They don't hate Trump because he's dangerous. They hate him because he reminds you that you are allowed to care about this country, to pray, to cry, to believe in good and evil, and to say something when the world goes wrong. But they mock our empathy because they lost theirs a long time ago. Y'all be safe. Go check on somebody today. You could be saving their life. Peace.